Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Empowered You podcast. I'm Javi Israel, your host, speaking to you from Sydney, Australia. After October 7, I found myself in uncomfortable situations, not sure how to respond or navigate. That's why I created the Empowered You, first an organization and now a podcast, to equip you with the knowledge, skills, and tools surrounding Israel and your Jewish identity. In each episode, we'll explore various topics from multiple perspectives so that you can feel informed, empowered, and proud of who you are. Thank you for joining me on this journey.
Hi, Chanala.
Hi, Chavs.
You know what's so funny? We did this, how long ago was it? A year ago?
Yeah, I think exactly a year because it's almost coming up to our year. They call it an Aliyah-versary.
Oh, wow. A year ago, on a Motzei Shabbos, I remember I had a cold.
Yeah.
And we were sitting on the couch in our hoodies and you were sharing with all of us how you guys were preparing for Aliyah. And we said that we would always do a part 2, and now we're, thank God, doing it.
That was anticipation, and now we have participation.
Oh, now I like that. Now we have participation. Can you share with us the experience of actually leaving Australia? I know you guys left Hanukkah time. I remember saying goodbye to you. I remember you giving me some of your stuff and putting it in my car, and I gave you a hug on Anglesey Street. Tell us about how it was that landing in Israel for the first time, knowing that you're living there.
So in the lead up to leaving, I didn't think that it was going to be so hard to say goodbye to everybody, but it was really painful. It was like, I explained it like ripping off a Band-Aid really slowly. So like, you know, everyone was joking how the Chaitons were having like an Indian wedding of goodbye parties because there was the community ones and then friends ones and work ones, etc. But when it came to the week of Hanukkah and like, you know, the community gets together every single night for another Hanukkah party, and it was our last night and it was by the beach. And I remember we were like in a circle, we were dancing with you guys, and Talia Bernstein was there and Sorala and Dave and Mushki. And I started to get this, I don't know, like butterflies or like teary, like it was starting. And it had already started, but I think I was maybe just like so excited to get to Israel that I was not feeling the feelings of goodbye. And then the next day, when it was crunch time, I could not stop crying from like the afternoon when we were like putting the bags in the car, and we had a really beautiful send off. We had friends and family take us to the airport. We had like a convoy of probably 4 or 5 cars that helped us. And I just, when everyone left and I was standing in the airport, a stranger came to Ellie and was like, "Is she okay?" Because I just couldn't stop. I was just sobbing so much. And then I kept thinking to myself, how am I going to be when I land? I'm so like, I'm sobbing so much now. How am I going to be? But when we landed, I was just so happy. Obviously, I still miss everybody, but I was just so filled with peace and happiness that there was no more tears. There was tears of happiness. And that landing in Israel and just knowing that we're here to stay. It wasn't a holiday. We were making Aliyah. It was unbelievable. We walked, first of all, someone takes us off the plane into an office, and it was Hanukkah. So there was donuts, chocolate milks for the kids, and then we do like some paperwork. And then we went through, and waiting for us there was people from our Israeli community, my parents, my father with his like boom box with music, Sigal, who we've all met from Kesher, Talia's online school, and Devorah Toka, and some random teenage girls who they had written on like, I don't even know what WhatsApp group. There's a family arriving on Aliyah from Australia. Do any girls want to join? And I think 3 came to the airport with like bags of nush for the kids, flags, hugs, and then also we had Ilan and Mali, who are part of Israeli group as well. And it was just the biggest warmth and hug that I could ever imagine.
Wow, okay. So when you took off from Australia, I mean, obviously it's a bit of a journey. We don't just land in Israel. We have to go through, I don't know, Abu Dhabi or somewhere. Were you
Yeah,
feeling,
Abu Dhabi.
were you still feeling emotional in a sad way? And then only once you landed, did you feel that peace? Did you feel any
Yeah, so
regret?
no, I never felt regret. As I was, when I left Australia, I was like reading, like a couple friends had written me some like messages, or you had written me an old school letter that I read, and that made me a bit teary again. But then like I wrote some things about like leaving. And then when we got to Abu Dhabi and we already saw the El Al people waiting, that was, you already feel like you're a little
Yeah,
bit at home. Like they're
yeah,
waiting to ask you the security questions, and then everyone's pushing and shoving. Like as soon as you get on that El Al flight, you're
you're
home.
home,
You're like,
100%.
you're home. So there was no looking back.
No, no looking back.
And
So you,
I always say and I said just a few minutes ago, I came back from speaking at my boys' school because they have a week of Aliyah, and they invite parents and family members to come and speak. And I told the kids that I wanted them to know this was a very important point that I wanted them to know. At no stage did Ellie and myself ever say we were running away from Australia. We loved our life, thank God. We loved our friends. We loved the school. We loved our community. We loved the beach. We loved Sydney. We were never running away. We were running towards Israel. We just wanted this life for ourselves. And I still believe that wholeheartedly, that is what we needed for our family, for our souls. Yeah.
amazing. Aliyah's always been something that I've always been thinking about. I don't think I'm ready, or me and my family, thank God, just yet. I think it's also about the time. It has to be the right time. And you guys made
Yeah.
Aliyah with 4 children
Mia was 14, Yoni 10, Davide 7, and Noah 4. And now they're all
the
a little bit
next year,
older.
because that's a diverse range, all different ages. I guess you said that this is what your soul needed. And obviously, you didn't run away from Australia, but why did you guys specifically choose last year to leave? I mean, it is post October 7, the world turned upside down. Was it Yisraela or Israela, however you say it? Like, what made you guys decide to finally? Because we always speak about things, but to actually make the push and do it, that's quite scary. So,
Okay,
what was the trigger?
I mean, Ellie and I were talking about it since we got married. And it was just, when we make enough money, when the kids are this age, it was just always kind of like when. And then finally, when Mia was bat mitzvah, we were just like, if we don't look into it properly now, it's going to be too late because she's going to get closer to doing HSE. And then if we wait for her to finish, then Yoni's going to be in the same situation because there's only a couple grades younger than her. So for her bat mitzvah, we decided to do her bat mitzvah in Israel. And we were going to do it like a little bit of a pilot trip, but we didn't land up. It's too hard with the kids to properly look around. And then soon after, when we came home, that's when we found out about Israela. So it was hashgacha pratis that it worked out like that. And then we really started to look into places. But when you're living, I mean, anywhere, but especially in Sydney, life is just, I don't want to say the word stuck. You get, it's the same day to day. And if it's not something on the top of the list, you just go through the motions and you do the same thing, and your kids keep going to school and you keep working, and you just, until another year. One of the kids just asked me now, because I ended off my speech/story saying that this is where I feel we belong. This is our country. Australia might have more savlanut, more patience, and be more chilled, but Israel has more heart. And I said that. And then so one of the kids raised their hand and they said, so if this is your home, why did you only make Aliyah now? Why didn't you come when you said you wanted to, like when you were 19? Because I told them the story about when I came for seminary and I wanted to move then. So I said, it's a great question and you're 100% right. And it took me 19 more or 18 more years than I anticipated, but it's just the way of life that you get comfortable. The word I should use is comfortable, not stuck. You get comfortable in a certain routine and a certain way, and it's hard to change. So you have to know when you want to take that leap.
Yeah, I think it's a leap of faith, and I think also it has to be the right time. And it was obviously the right time for you guys. And I want to take it back to when you guys landed in the airport. You have to fill out some forms. You then have a beautiful celebration, dancing, and all that fun and excitement. But then what happens? It's not like you have your comfortable home that you're ready to just slide right into. And what happened next?
Okay, so the government organizes you to get a taxi back to your house. So we had a taxi take us and our luggage to Carmei, and our house was ready, but we didn't have any furniture yet. So we decided that we were going to go to an Airbnb around the corner for 2 nights, just so we could be comfortable and our landing experience wouldn't be like shuffling around for some mattresses for the first few nights.
So clever.
So I was really happy that we decided to do that. And it happens to be that the Airbnb was across the road. It's called The Big, which it's kind of like the Grove, but like Israeli version. So it's an outdoor mall. There's kosher McDonald's, the Chulu, etc. So the kids were just so excited to have that, like as they landed. So I think it's very important when someone lands that they have these kind of things set into place so that your first experience with landing and your first memories of making Aliyah, because there are lots of hurdles along the way, that there is some sweetness in there. So we had the beautiful landing and we had the comfort of that Airbnb to go to. And then our lift only arrived probably, I would say, a month to 6 weeks later. But one thing that I will share, because people will be listening to this and wanting to know like feedback, we were told don't bring a big lift. And I would like to go back and say, do bring a big lift, because there is so many changes in your life. The last thing that you want to do is start thinking about which kind of couch you want to choose. What kind of table and chairs do you want to choose? You can borrow a trestle table and some fold-up chairs till your lift arrives. But if you had great stuff in Australia that could still work for a few years, a lot of years, bring it. It's hard at the beginning when you don't have a car, you don't know the places, you don't know the prices, and then you have to start thinking it like you have to be an interior designer as well as someone who knows how to negotiate prices in a different language. So just for the comfort of that, I would say just bring everything that you want to bring it. And if you want to pass it on once you're here, there are plenty of people that would take it. You're already spending so much money on making Aliyah, just add it to the bill.
Okay. So you guys basically it's not so much more money, you mean? If you're going to bring a lift, just bring a big lift, bring all your stuff, may as well. Yeah. So are you telling me that after the Airbnb, you guys kind of had to basically start from scratch? You had to buy beds, you had to buy tables, you had to buy chairs, couches. Tell us.
Everything. And so I had already organized beds from Australia because I didn't want to be waiting for that stuff. So
Smart.
We had beds within that third night of staying here because I'd already organized that delivery. Did you buy machine and dryer because that was.
You bought those stuff prior? You already bought them before, or you borrowed?
I bought it online before we left Australia, and it was organized to be delivered when we arrived. And then we didn't have a couch, a table, and chairs for a few weeks because. Maybe we borrowed a trestle table, and I had some bar stools because I bought it from the guy who lived here before us. But yeah, we managed.
What did you guys do for dinner every night those first few weeks?
So I remember talking to my friend who lives around the corner. She's also from the Israeli group. And she was like, what are you doing for dinner tonight? And I was like, I couldn't wrap my head around what I was making the kids for dinner. She's like, I know how you feel. I was there because she arrived 6 months before us. So she said, I'm sending you 4 dinners that are in one 9 by 13. You've got an oven that's working. You've got a fridge. You're just going to get it together. And I was like, thank you, Tamar. I need that.
Wow. So she
was
made
like-
you 4 dinners.
It was just like, no, she gave me the recipes for 4, and
Oh,
I
okay.
just had to choose. It was like an easy, like a 9 by 13 tray. She's like, dump in the rice, put in the pargiot, put the spices on top, cover, done.
So she just gave you the tools, the idea, told you what to do, and you're like,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah.
And you needed someone
Yes,
like
exactly.
that. So just say what to do.
I needed that push to be like, this is what you are going to do. The first day that we arrived, we first came to the house. There was some people waiting here to welcome us. So someone from the community had a jar of cookies. There were signs on the door from the neighbors. Also, another neighbor messaged me. She was like, I'm bringing over something for dinner. They were very, very welcoming in the neighborhood.
Did you feel like you were kind of
And
arriving to a big family? Because you're living in Carmei Gat, which is still developing. You've sent me pictures before, and they're still building a lot. So the community, it's not like a massive,
Yeah.
it's not like Jerusalem or a big established
yeah.
city. So did you feel everyone know who you guys were? Did they know your names already? Were you coming home, I should say, to a family? Or was it overwhelming? I mean, I'm sure it was overwhelming, but tell us about the people in the community.
I mean, first of all, if you arrive to Jerusalem, you don't really have a community unless you have a shul that you're part of. Here, it's more like, because it's smaller, you actually do have a community. You have a community in your neighborhood, you have a community within like your Bet Knesset, and then we have our community with Israela. On the day that we arrived, because it was Hanukkah, we were going to the shul that like Israela is connected with. So yes, when we got there, everyone knew that we were like the new Olim. I would say it would have been very overwhelming for my kids, especially because they didn't know the language, and they were probably also like, there was like a show and it was very loud, but they're kids. So there was food and music. They're not the type to just like get involved in the dancing or get involved in the, I don't know. So I would say it was overwhelming for them.
How did the community embrace you guys?
I think that because it's a growing community, people are also still moving here all the time. So it's also not like, I guess, like in Sydney, when 1 new or 2 new couples move, it's like everyone knows them, and it's very different because this is a newish area. And even on the community WhatsApp group, you can see like people are moving here all the time. Like, welcome to this family, welcome to this family. It is a growing place constantly.
And do you prefer that in a way? Because you guys were the newbies for a second and it didn't last long. Like, is that a nice feeling to not be the newbies? Because there are so many new people that are moving in. Did you like that?
It didn't really bother me. I need when people still meet me, they know that I'm new. They can hear in my accent. They can hear how I talk Hebrew. They're like, "Oh, you made Aliyah? When?" And I'm like, "Yeah, in January." And then they know, they're like, "Oh, you're part of that group. Yes. How's everything going?" But maybe if it's like a new family, coming from Jerusalem or Ramat Bet Shemesh or something, it would kind of just be like, welcome. How do you like it? Whereas like for us, it's like a little bit more of a big deal because they're so overwhelmed that, wow, you made Aliyah, and you made Aliyah during a war. During a war, when there was another war, during that war.
Yeah. I was going to ask you guys about that. Tell us about making Aliyah during a war. Tell us about that experience.
So I think, like, as most Israelis will say, unfortunately, they are used to wars. So it's not something that is so uncommon. And one of the kids asked me today, did that impact my decision? Was I scared? Did we decide that maybe we won't come now? So it never changed anything when we were deciding to make Aliyah. I feel like if anything, it made the decision like more concrete. Like, of course we're going. This is where we need to be. And then Carmei Gat is actually quite quiet in terms of like, it's not in the center like Jerusalem or Tel Aviv where lots of rockets fire. So we have only had to go in the Marmad, the safe room, once before the Iran war and then during the Iran war, but I was actually stuck in America then, and Ellie and Noah were here. And then after that, there's basically never any sirens here, which is actually quite interesting because we're not so far from Sderot and we're not far from Ashdod and Ashkelon. It just happens to be where we're situated on the map that we just don't get sirens. So Mia was on her way home from school on the first siren. The boys were in school and so was Noah. So whoever was in school was fine because they have the safe rooms and the teachers would have told them, like the teachers would have kept them calm and safe. Mia called me. She was quite nervous, as you could imagine, because she was on the street. And I think you have to look it up. I think it's 45 seconds or a minute. It's not long to get to a safe room. So she was right near a school or she was near our friend's house. So I said, run to the Grunwalds and knock on the door and hopefully they'll answer. They'll be in the Mamad, but hopefully they'll answer. So she went in there and she was fine. It's amazing how fast the kids, it becomes like normal. So like Noah, I don't even know whether to laugh or cry. Noah did 2 drawings last week. So the first, she drew like regular 5-year-old, hearts, unicorns, etc. And then on the very top, she made sure to point out she had done a yellow hostage ribbon by her name. It was like something that was like so normal for her to just include in her drawing. And the second thing she drew was she was making a big flyer and she's pointing out the whole family and she says the mother and the kids. So I think Mia said to her, oh, where's the father? And she said, oh, he's in the army.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I want to actually hear about Hebrew, and Noah's the baby of the family. Has she picked up the Hebrew? I mean, all her friends, their dads were in the army. Do you feel like it's easier the younger?
They each have their own way of learning. I think that the kids that we thought it would be the hardest for, it's like the opposite. So without going into very specifics, because I don't know how much they actually want me to share about them, but the kids who are maybe like a little bit more easy going, those ones have struggled a little bit more. But when I say struggled, it's not like don't want to go to school, or it's more like it's taken a little bit more time for them to just adjust to the life. And then the ones that were just more like, I don't want to leave. I have so many friends here. I really don't want to go. They are the ones who have like surprised us and just really settled in fast. Also, it depends how many English speakers are in their classes, and if they're kind of forced to then integrate into the class. So last year, Noah had a crew of English speakers. So she understood a lot of what the teacher would say to her because the teacher only spoke in Hebrew. But then during playtime, she would only hang out with these English speakers. So she didn't really have a chance, first of all, to talk at all. And also, it's a different talk when you're playing than when you're listening to the teacher. So this year, she actually does have English speakers, but she doesn't know. She tells me that she thinks she's the only English speaker in the whole class, but there's a whole bunch of them, but she just doesn't know. And I'm not going to tell her. So she's forced to communicate with them in Hebrew, and it's good for her because she's still in Gan Chova, so there's still this year before Kita Aleph. So it's another year of play and learning the language before she has to do like formal studies. Then Davidi's in Dalid, and he has a couple of English speakers. He has more English speakers than Yoni. So Yoni was forced to pick up the language faster than Davidi. But they're slowly learning and doing well. And then Mia, she started a new school this year. She's doing, it's a half, they call it Panimia, is where you sleep in the school. So she's doing a half boarding school. Every Monday and Wednesday she sleeps there. And it's a great experience for her. Independence and learning to live alongside other girls and like experiences that you just wouldn't get anywhere else.
And do they speak Hebrew at Mia's school?
Oh, yeah.
Have the kids started to pick up the language? They speak
definitely.
Hebrew?
I would say that the thing that helped me the most was B'nai Akiva. She threw herself into B'nai Akiva when we arrived. First, it was just on a Friday night and like different activities throughout the year, a couple of camping things, paint nights, just different like experiences that they had. And then in the summer, she did a week-long camping with the group, and also another couple of nights where she went with some B'nai Akiva friends up north, and they camped at near, not like on the Kinneret, at someone's house near the Kinneret. And also the girls only spoke Hebrew. And so she was just forced to pick up the language. So when everyone was like, oh my gosh, aren't you so nervous for Mia? Because she's the oldest and it could take her longer to pick it up. I would like to say to them that you don't have to be nervous for the older kids. If they find something that they want to do, they will do it. And for a teenager, if there's something that they're interested in, you just make it happen.
Yeah.
Because it is very rare for a teenager to be interested in anything.
Yeah, and it seems like she's doing such fun things, and even the concept of having a half a boarding school. That sounds unbelievable. I'm thinking of Sem. I had to wait to go to seminary to have such an experience, and she gets to have like a little bit of Sem, have fun, friends, talking, and then she gets to come home to her mum, to her bed, and have like that home life, but also have her space and her independence. And it's like a safe environment. It's not like she's like you're worried about her or where she is or who she's with. And it's a Jewish school. It sounds like a dream, actually.
I know, it's both. You know, last week she's like, I want you to be like an Israeli mum when you look at this photo. So she shows me the photo and she's like, where do you think we are? And I'm like, it looks like you're on a roof. She's like, yeah. So I'm like, that sounds fun. And she's like, oh, thank you for not freaking out. So it was like in the middle of the middle of the night, they went on the roof of the dorm. And then she's like, and I'm so happy to be home tonight in my bed with my shower. So you're right. It's like she has the best of both worlds. It's like camp half the week and home the other half.
Yeah. And then she gets to see her friends because she's going to school every day. How's it been, by the way, for the kids not having a Sunday? Because that's a really big deal. I have to be honest with you. I love Shabbat, but I love Sunday as well.
It is a big deal. Although as the kids get older and you have a couple soccer games, a basketball game, birthday parties, a school meetup, like your Sunday does get, you know, taken away from you, like it, you know, when you've got your little Maya and you guys can go for a walk together to the beach and you can go to, you know, Jesse's for brunch, like that Sunday is amazing, of course. But when the kids get older and it's hijacked by 5-8-year-olds birthday parties and lift schemes to and from soccer, I don't miss any of that. I feel bad for my kids that they don't have their soccer group, like their soccer leagues with their friends. They have other chugim here, but we never found soccer league for them. So they do miss that. And they definitely miss their friends and the birthday parties, but I do not miss that. Sunday is difficult to get used to. Lucky for us is that Ellie doesn't work Sunday. So I am very grateful that he works Monday to Friday, because then we at least have a little bit of time to do something. And also, I don't feel so bad for the kids because their day is over at 1:30.
Are you joking?
No, I'm not joking. That was
no.
Bigger than Sunday. I think that is much bigger to get used to.
Explain.
I mean, Noah's goes a little bit longer because she has something called Saharon, which is an after-school program. So from preschool, from kindergarten till grade 2, they have something called Saharon, which is an after-school program from 1:30 till, let's say, 3. In the guns, it goes a little bit longer, some of them 4:30 or 5. They give the kids a hot meal, and it's basically just care. So Noah never had it last year, but I signed her up for this year. And the boys, they come home, they do a bit of homework, I let them watch a little bit, They play with their friends, and then they have a bit of a break until their chugim, extracurricular activities start. So that's probably the most different to Australia.
Is the chugim a part of school? Is it separate? Does it cost a lot more money? What time do the chugim start? When do they end?
Okay, so some of them are part of school. Those ones run straight from school. The ones that my kids are part of are private. Yoni does basketball, so that's like 3 times a week. And they call it the city, which is Carmei Gat. It's like a 5-minute drive. So I do like a lift scheme with a friend. He goes together. They do this very cool chug called Seyarut, which is basically scouts. They are in nature for Davidi they both just started last week. Davidi's is only an hour and a half. Yoni's is a 5-hour chug every second week.
Wow.
They go on a hike. They make dinner in a fire. They find, I don't know, bugs and stones and archaeological things.
Stuff.
And I wish I was in it, honestly. Sounds amazing.
And how do you find all these chugim? How do you organize?
You find a friend in each of the kids' classes that you can bother with questions, and they will be happy to take you in. I have an amazing friend here one day when you come and visit. Her name's Noah. She lives like a minute walk from me, and she also speaks English, even though my Hebrew is okay. And she basically takes care of me like I'm her little sister, and she tells me which chug to book Yoni into, and when it's, I don't know, dress up day or something, and she makes sure that I know. And
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you have to have someone like that in your life.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking, you said you did lifts. So do you guys now have a car?
Yeah, we got one about, I can't remember if it was between 6 weeks and 2 months after we landed, and it was a very happy day.
Do you need a car in Israel?
100%.
Yeah.
Like you don't necessarily need one in Carmei Gat. I try do a lot of stuff walking, except when it gets to be boiling, and then you need a car. You can't be walking around in the middle of the day. It's really
And
hard.
then I want to hear about your Hebrew, Ellie's Hebrew, and about both of your jobs. How have you guys found that adjustment?
Okay. So Ellie kept his job from Australia for the first 4 months. It was great for me. It was rough for him. It was basically he worked nights, so it was very disrupted sleep for him. But then in the day, we had like all this time together that we haven't had since we were like newlyweds. So like he would sleep a little bit in the morning, and then we would be like, okay, what are we going to... a lot of the time it was just like doing stuff for our house. It wasn't like a huge haftarah like experience. It was just like, let's go. I would never have taken Ellie in Sydney to choose a couch with me. Like I would have just done it on my own. But like he was my sidekick, so he was coming along. So that was really fun. Then Pesach time, he found a job here, thank God. He's doing something very similar to what he was doing in Australia. So he's a data scientist. They call it here high tech, like all the software developing kind of jobs. That's what they call it here. And he's working in Tel Aviv in a startup company called Tastewise. And Ellie's fluent in Hebrew. I think it's much more comfortable when one person in the marriage family is fluent. It would be very difficult for both of the parties to speak like me. It just everything takes longer. I can read and translate, but I want to make sure that I'm not missing anything, so I put it into Google Translate. Or if I want to skim something, I can't just read a whole text message in Hebrew and skim it like I would in English, done. You really have to just take the time to concentrate and really take it all in.
How is Ellie fluent? From yeshiva?
From yeshiva, yeah. He learnt in Kfar Chabad for 2 years, and I guess the entire program was in Hebrew. So
wow. Unbelievable.
Yeah,
and how
really
does he get to work? Does he take the family car?
I actually still can't believe that the seminaries in Israel don't have part of their syllabus Ulpan.
Yeah.
So in my seminary, we had a lot of classes in Ivrit. I was able to pick up, I had a pretty good basic from Australia, but I was able to pick up on a lot more because I was part of the Hebrew classes. First of all, a lot of the Americans didn't even partake in those because their Hebrew was terrible. How can you bring girls overseas to Israel and not have at least 1 to 2 classes a week teaching them the language? Like I don't understand still in 2025
Mm,
how we're not teaching our kids Hebrew.
yeah, yeah,
Everyone should be doing Ulpan now from everywhere in the world.
I agree. Although
You're all going to need it very soon.
I wish I took Hebrew seriously at school. I had to do it compulsory till year 9, and I didn't take it seriously whatsoever. In seminary, I guess we learnt a lot of Hasidus and Jewish and Yahadut and Bayis Yehudi and other subjects that potentially there was no time, although you're right, they should have taught us something, but everyone was American, and I lived in the main area in the old city of Tzfat where everyone spoke English, and it's a big shame. Although up the mountain in Chitrik, they actually learned a lot more Hebrew
Yes.
because they had only Hebrew classes, and that didn't exist in the SEM that I went to. Even though I loved my SEM, it's something that is a bit sad that I lived a whole year in Israel and I can't really speak Hebrew at all. It's a shame. And I think that the language barrier is probably one of the hardest challenges of making Aliyah. That, and what about, you know how you were saying that in Australia they have more sublanguage. How's the patience going in Israel? How's that fast pace of Israeli life? How are you handling that? How are the kids handling that?
So I think it depends on the situation. Like, I think that sometimes you have to know like what's going on, and you have to just put on, fake it till you make it in a situation where you feel I have to be pushy here and not let someone push in the line. Or if you're on a phone call and trying to get something done, you have to kind of put on your pretend aggro voice and get it done. Or Ellie was laughing a couple of weeks ago. I think we were in some car park. Oh, I was trying to exit a car park, and there was like all these cars that were waiting to leave, but one car was like blocking. So I just went around and went right through the entry gate. And he was like, whoa, when did you become such an Israeli driver? And it was just like, I'm not going to wait another 10 minutes to exit the thing when there's a free entry. So we just went out.
I love it.
And I guess another humbling experience here is learning to drive. I felt like I was learning to drive again. So in Carmei Gat itself, it's very chilled. It's like living in like, it's kind of like, I don't know, like Port Macquarie or like the Gold Coast, but not near the sea. Like it's not rushed like Jerusalem. There's parking, there's hardly not much beeping. Like it's more calm. But on the highways, you basically have to learn. When you're driving on a highway in Australia, people really only move lanes one way. They're either going into one or into the other. Here, they're flying from all directions.
Oh my
So
Lord.
you're constantly looking in all your mirrors the whole time. The whole time. So I don't know when I will ever be a relaxed driver. I'm like clenching that steering wheel. I only drove to Jerusalem in the summer. So that was quite a few months after we arrived, and the first time I drove to the airport was also in August. The first time when I picked up my parents in August, I drove to the airport. So it took me a while to get confident on highways. But yeah, the drivers here are something else.
And so wait, does Ellie drive to work, or how does he get to work?
So he takes the bus to the train station and then the train.
And so public transport in Israel is good, at least. So for those who don't want to drive, the public transport
very good public transport, yeah.
And then what about you and your job? How have you found that here in Israel?
Thank God I've been able to build up a business, which I'm loving. I offer Pilates and strength classes from my home. And I think that the niche that I have is that I offer classes in English. So every woman is doing everything in Hebrew the whole day. And I think it's important for her to have 45 minutes that she can show up. She can do her exercise in a language that she feels comfortable in a place that she feels comfortable in. She doesn't have to worry about being sanua, modest. No one's around in my home. And thank God I've been able to build up quite a good group of girls who keep coming back for more. So it's that love-hate relationship with pulses. And I've been able to grow a small community here for my balanced fitness. So I'm
I
really,
love
really
that.
grateful for that. And I would love to be able to do it outside my home one day soon.
And you
That would
also,
be
I
great.
saw on Instagram, you had a class for Miluim for wives whose husbands are in Miluim. So I can see that you're
Yeah,
already giving back.
it was
And
really special. I was
yeah,
able to host two classes, one in the evening, one in the morning, two different options for the women. They are basically the backbone of our country. Obviously, the Chayalim are our holiest and strongest heroes, and their wives are the ones who keep the family and are backstage of it all. So I
yeah,
thought it was very important to give them some
100%.
chizuk, and
How was it being in Israel when the hostages, the last alive hostages, were returned? Tell us about that.
it was so surreal, and so it was like this breath of like relief, and at the same time you were holding this like happiness, and then at the same time you were also holding this pain for those families that were never going to get that, and
Yeah,
also those families that were receiving, unfortunately, passed away hostages. But you could literally feel in the air the simcha. It was huge. We happened to be camping. It was the last night of Sukkot, and we went to Ashkelon Beach with a family friend of ours. I was sitting there with the other mother, Lauren, and we were just a little bit glued to our phones in the morning, just trying to see them minute by minute when they were landing. And I went to return mattresses that we had hired, and literally the first thing the woman standing behind, she was like, Boker Tov, and she said, the Chatofim are in Israel. They're on our land. You could just feel it was everybody's happiness. It was a shared joy. And I know that it wasn't just in Israel. I know that in Australia, like you guys were glued to your phones till like the minute you had to light, and you went into Simchas Torah or Shmini Atzeres, like not knowing completely what was happening. And I remember like I was there, and like you were going to get updated during Yom Tif. There was people that were going to, tell you guys. But I remember being in that situation, and I was just like so grateful that I was here
yeah.
and I could just be part of the history. That's literally history at the moment.
Do you feel like in Israel everyone's family? Like when it's a Chag coming up, you feel the Chag. You go to Osherad and you know the Chag is coming, and there are signs, and there's this like warm, fuzzy, cozy feeling wherever you go. Is that a real thing
Yes.
living in Israel?
Yes, like the buses say Chag Sameach on the top where it says the number, it says Chag Sameach. In the reject shop, the table is set at the front with the Rosh Hashanah table, or the Sukkah is right next to it. But I have to say that a big difference, and I knew this before, it wasn't such a shock for me, but like I guess I'll just explain it now. Education here is completely different. And I do want to compile a list of the Nisim, the miracles that this country survives on. One that would be on the top is how anyone in this country goes on to do a university degree, because they do not learn anything in school. There is a very short time between the Chagim and Chanukah. That is one non-disruptive few weeks. That is, the teachers say, this is our time to learn. And the children, like, that is when they teach. After you get to Chanukah, Od Ma'at Purim, Od Ma'at Pesach, V'zehu. After Pesach, it's like you're already on summer. And the other huge difference is that in Chutz La'aretz, I don't know if it's because of it's like a fear, or it's just the way that things are taught, because it's just, I don't think it's because of a fear. Let me just talk it out. The way that things are taught to children and then teenagers in school, Judaism is the top priority in the Jewish day school, right? So like the children know all the customs of the Chagim. They also know all the laws of the Chagim, and they'll spend like a good chunk of like, let's say before Tishrei, before Pesach, even from like the 2-year-old class, they'll make a Haggadah, they'll make a book for Tishrei, and like Divrei Torah, and they'll make arts and crafts, etc. It's not so much like that here. And I think it's because you're living it. Like
Yeah,
everywhere you go, you're living Pesach, you're living before Sukkot. It also could be the language that the kids haven't yet acquired enough language to learn like the other kids are. But I do think there is a difference between how they teach in Chutz La'aretz and how they teach here. It's a big difference. Like Noah came home with like a few little arts and crafts, and I don't even know if there was even one song, but like the kids in like Kesser Torah in the preschool, they like singing Ani Ladoidi Vidoidi, like the kishkas are going to fall out. I can't explain it. It's a
So
very
are you
different.
saying maybe they don't do that because, like you said, there's no time, potentially, I'm just guessing.
Yeah.
Like they don't even have the time because it's like always there's interruptions. They finish school at 1:30, so maybe they don't have time for that extracurricular, and then it seems like they get the extracurricular or that informal learning, I guess, through B'nai Akiva or through the shul or through all the after the chugim, etc. I'm just guessing maybe. Like
Yeah.
it's just set up differently. Because in Australia we have school till 3:35, or when I went to school till 4:20.
Yeah,
We have
I think so. I think also the schools have this in Chutz La'aretz, they have this maybe responsibility to make sure that like if we don't pass this, if we don't
Yeah.
pass Yahadut onto our children, it's going to get lost.
Yeah.
Whereas in Israel, it's always going to be here. We like firmly believe that our kids are going to know and understand it regardless of if they
Yes.
still do teach it in school. I'm not saying they don't teach it in school.
Yeah.
It's just a very different way of teaching.
And what do you miss most about Australia?
Besides for our friends and family, obviously
Besides,
the beach.
the beach. Okay.
Could have answered that in a second.
Okay. I mean,
I
do you miss, like, cold?
I really miss my Shabbos morning or afternoon walk to the beach and a swim. It will never be. There won't be anything that will fill that.
Yeah, fair enough. And do you miss
But
the calmness?
I'm really not that far. I'm really not that far from the beach. I just have to remind myself every time. It's only a 25-minute drive. It's just not a 25-minute walk.
That's clever. What about the calmness? Do you miss the calmness that Australia brings, or not at all?
Not really. It still feels pretty calm in Carmei Gat. So not necessarily. I do like if I would come back to Australia, let's say I only had 24 hours, it would be like I would tell my friends to just follow me around because they have to just do what I'm doing. It would just be beach, Kmart, Uniqlo, massage.
Okay. And what about nails? Because apparently it's really expensive getting your nails in Israel.
I found a Russian lady that I can do a pedicure at, so we're sorted.
Very good.
And nails, we need to get some of those little studios in here.
Yeah, in Israel, everyone's like one big happy family. But sometimes I feel like I'm romanticizing that. I know that in Israel, unfortunately, there is also a lot of division and a lot of drama between the left and the right and the pro-Bibi and against Bibi and pro the hostage. How has that been? Because you're in Olah, you feel this excitement and love towards everyone, but meanwhile, in reality, it's not necessarily like that.
Yeah, definitely. So there's been a few times where this kind of idea has come up. First of all, the Near Oz community, which is one of the kibbutzim that got attacked on 7th of October, they live in Carmei Gat. So they have a couple of buildings that they live in, and then they built them like a temporary area that's like a little mini kibbutz for them to like do some, I think they have their kindergartens and maybe some agricultural things there. And they gather every day at the Kikar, which is like a roundabout. So I've been a couple times and spoken to some of the people there. And first of all, like a bunch of them were like, why did you move here? Are you crazy? You had this amazing life in Australia. That was one of their first questions.
Yeah.
The second thing was like, I would never engage with them about politics. Their only thing that they can think about is getting their family back, and they should. That's what they should be worried about. But when last week, we went to, it wasn't really a shiva because it was the second funeral for Daniel Perez. We went to his funeral, and then afterwards we went to the shiva in Yad Binyamin. Rav Daniel was speaking, and then in walked Omer, I forgot his last name, but his parents, and he's a dead hostage that they're still waiting for his body. And he gave them a big welcome, and then they each spoke. So it's unbelievable. Only in Israel this would happen, that it's one person's shiva and it turns into talking about it's another family's heartbreak, because it's all connected. So the father spoke and then the mother spoke. And then when she was speaking, she was saying how important it is to bring back every single last hostage. And then from the back of the room, and it was really, really not the right place, and it was really not the right time. And someone shouted out, "This is what happens when we, gave away Gush Katif." Like, he went into a tangent about that, and nothing will be okay till we get back Gaza. Like, it just wasn't the right place. But instead of everyone shouting and screaming, everyone pretty much ignored him, and it just moved on. So I think that the news loves to portray, they'll take like a little situation and they'll blow it up and say like everything is like that. Yes, there are in Tel Aviv, definitely at Hostage Square, where it's a bit more ramped up, and there are more leftists there. They call them kaplanim. And it would be more ramped up in that area. But here on a day-to-day, you don't see it.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good that you don't feel that on a day-to-day. And I guess it's also what you focus on and where you're around. It's on that, you'll see that more. And if you don't, and you just try and spread good energies and love towards everyone, people feel that as well.
Yeah, exactly.
What do the kids miss the most about Australia?
They definitely miss Sunday. That's 100%. This was really random. Shout out to Bagel Co. They said the sushi there is better. They like the tuna mayo sushi better from Bagel Co. They basically just miss their friends. But I've asked them, I've checked in with them quite a few times during our time, genuinely asked them, like, if we could go back, would you want to? And they say, no, we love it here.
Wow.
So
Wow.
So grateful. Really, really so grateful. I always say, and I've written this in my writings, that making Aliyah is like a treasure hunt. So you get a clue and you get to your next spot of, I don't know, school is starting, and you get to school and you think you got your supplies for the kids and you've packed their lunch, and you get there. It wasn't even like you completely missed something. It was just like you're getting your next clue. Collect it and open it up, and you've just missed a huge important thing that was meant to happen today. And it's fine, because first of all, it's very chilled here, school. Like, it's fine. But it's along the way. I remember on our first appointment, we get to the Misrata Panim, which is like the office that deals with Aliyah and anything else like licenses and whatever. And we get there, and for some reason we had forgotten our passports. And the lady was like, "Oh, it's fine. Just go back and get them." And we didn't have a car then, but it was fine. We were like, "We're not going on a bus. Our kids are waiting at home with no one." So she was like, "Okay." Thank God it wasn't in Jerusalem, because they wouldn't have cared, like in a big city. It was like the Kiryat Gat, they're like more like relaxed about it. So she like booked us into the next appointment, but like no one tells you that you needed to bring XYZ. You just find it out as you go on. And like, you'll like go to open a bank account, and they'll forget to tell you to bring like something that you would never even think of that you need for the bank account appointment. So then you're like, you have to come back another time. But I think that you just have to you can't think that when you're doing all these like admin work, if you can do one thing on the third time of trying, you're doing well.
Okay. Got it. Lower the expectations and have a lot of patience.
Take it right down.
Okay.
But then at the same time, you have to understand that you're making Aliyah. The government's giving you so much. People complain about all the admin and the bureaucracy and all this stuff. But if you think about it, which other country would take in so many new families and give them so much support when they land? You get support for your kids in the school. You get monetary support when you first land. You get even the lift from the airport, checking in with people in these offices in the area, in the city. It's unbelievable. they wouldn't do it in any other country. So yes, it's annoying, but you also have to be so grateful that you're getting so much.
And would you recommend for people who want to make Aliyah to move A, with a group like Yisraela, and B, to a smaller community rather than a big main city? Has that made a big difference?
Yeah, I think that it was a very soft landing for us coming to a smaller place. First of all, I'm not worried about my kids walking around on their own. The traffic isn't crazy. It's safe, thank God. And then also with Israela, because we had each other for support, that was also huge. But I think it also, and the other thing was that it's not such a huge, well, there are lots of Anglos and it's growing, but like it's not like Renana or Modi'in, where there is so many Anglos that you can go days without saying a word in Hebrew.
Yeah.
That was important for us to not be in a place where we still felt like we weren't in Israel. But there are people who want those comforts. So I think that it shouldn't, you still need to know, you need to know what you want. And if at the beginning that's going to mean a soft landing for you, then you should do that for you and your family. You have to know what you and your family need.
Yeah. And I
What
also
we wanted for our family.
And I feel like you need to be organized, and you need to be prepared, and you need to think in advance and be organized like you were. You thought ahead and planned.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
didn't it wasn't a rash kind of thing. You've got to really,
Yeah.
And tell us what has been the highlight of making Aliyah? One thing.
Wow.
I know it's a tough one to end off.
Highlight. Honestly, probably the night after Simchas Torah, we went to, it's called Hakafot Shniot, which is the second round of Hakafot. So because here there's only one night, they do the second one with like live music. And we went to an army base. One of our friends is doing Miluim there, and it was right near Kibbutz Be'eri. And we walked in and they were just about to start the Hakafot, and you just see a whole swarm of soldiers, all different types, with kippot, without, with payot, without, even Chabadnikim with their kapota and a gun, families there. Then in the tent, there was a whole area for girls to do dancing. There was the Midrasha seminary from the Rova near the Kotel, but the Ivrit program, and the energy in there, it was just pumping. And then to watch the Chayalim dancing with the Torah, and just the love for the Torah, for Am Yisrael, for Eretz Yisrael. It was just like a culmination of everything. It makes me emotional thinking about it and talking about it. And just to be part of that was really special to finish off the month of Tishrei, and for my kids to be part of it. I actually basically had to force them to come, because it was after all the Chagim, school was the next day, and they were just like happy to just have a slice of pizza and watch TV. But we're all going, and they were really happy we came. I mean, they got to see tanks and army trucks and guns, and besides for that, that's like exciting for the little boys. But like the dancing, they were on shoulders, and they had fresh svinge out of the fry pan. It's like a Moroccan donut, and just honestly, the joy that was felt in the air, you could feel it. You could really touch it.
When you're describing it, it sounds like a dream to me.
It did feel like a dream.
And then you get to just go home, but you're not going home all the way back to Australia, back to regular life. You get to go home and then wake up, and you kind of get a little tastes of this every single day, every moment of your life.
I have to say that as we drive on the highway towards Carmei Gat, like to come back home, and I see like there's it's like they're called projects. So they're like tall buildings that are like near where we live. And it's like this feeling inside, like we're home. And I described it to a friend who's also from Sydney as like when you're driving down Sedimeville Drive and you like are getting closer to like Bondi Junction, and like you're home, like you're coming back from like, I don't know, a day out, and you're just coming a bit closer. So I have that feeling now when I see those buildings. I'm like, oh, I'm home. It's like such a nice feeling.
Wow. Khan, I am so happy for you guys, for your family. Every week you used to send your weekly updates, which I absolutely love and miss, by the way. I would read them and get emotional. You have to write a blog or a book or something because you're really good. And you would send pictures as well. But every time I would read it, I felt like Aliyah became something that is attainable. For me, it used to be like making Aliyah was something that I couldn't grasp. It was so far-fetched in my mind and so not feasible and too difficult, but you've actually made Aliyah not only possible, but actually fun. It's not that bad. I feel like people, it has a, not a bad rep, but everyone just thinks about how difficult and the money and moving and then the children and the language. Israel is crazy and forget about war, but just Israeli mentality. But you've actually made it seem like it's okay. It's not that
Right.
bad.
And
Really.
I said this in our first podcast, that when we came on our pilot trip, that Golan said to us that we need to basically tikkun, fix the 10 Meraglim, their story of Eretz Israel. We need to go back and spread the word that Eretz Israel is good and Aliyah is good. And it's not that no one is there to tell you that it's going to be perfect. I'm not here to say it's a walk in the park. It's hard work, but it's worth it and it is good. And I hope that I'm able to be that good word. I'm hoping that I can be like the two Meraglim that spoke positively about Israel. And you can have banter and you can have jokes about how things work over here, but at the point of it, the heart of it, it's amazing. I love it. I
So
wouldn't
happy.
swap it for anything in the world.
Amazing. And if anyone has any questions, they know how to reach out
Yes,
to you.
they can
Um,
definitely reach out to me and
well,
definitely pack a bigger lift.
okay, fine.
With lots of kids and teenage yeah, like books. I really regret not bringing all our books.
Okay. Well, point taken.
Yeah.
Khan, thank you so much. And
Miss you.
miss you too. Please, God, we'll see you very, very soon.
Amen.
And it should only continue to be smooth sailing and
Amen.
onwards and upwards and only good things for your family.
Thanks, Chavs.
I'll see you. Bye, Khan. Thank you.
Bye.